I feel like this movie would be more accurate if it said Harley Quinn and the Emancipation of the Birds of Prey.
You wanna know who's in my top 10? Yeah. Me, and me again. Run and tell them that it ain't pretend. No fake news, CNN.
Hey there everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood nerd here. My name is Tyra and welcome to my internet home. Today we're going to be talking about Birds of Prey. I just got back from seeing it tonight and I want to give a non-spoiler review in this video, and I also am going to watch the movie again and give a spoiler review because my notes and stuff like that definitely aren't legible. So I want to make sure that I have everything down packed, so I'm gonna watch it again because it was enjoyable in my opinion. Now, this movie is directed by Kathy Yan. She's a Chinese American, so that's what we mean when we want to see diversity, or diversity from people of color, having a Chinese American actor, director. And this movie stars Margaret Robbie, Journey Smollett Bell, she's married, guys, and Edwin McGregor, I think that's his name. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names.
Go ahead and log out for me.
But if we're being honest, instead of Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn, I feel like this movie would be more accurate if it said Harley Quinn and the Emancipation of the Birds of Prey, because this story is, for the most part, it was told in Harley Quinn's point of view, especially like for the first half. And also in the first half, that's when we see more of the subliminal feminist, if you want to call it feminist, but in reality I feel like every girl can relate to that, to like the little messages that they sent. And I'm not even gonna say every girl, because I know there's gonna be that one bird in the comments saying, oh, I never experienced blah blah blah.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
But I mean, they do it kind of subtly in a way that it's not really cringy like some movies would do when they're trying to express or get the point across that this is a feminist message or something like that. So it did it in a very subtle way, and it made sense with the plot, because I mean the examples that they give in those undertones, I feel like just about a lot of girls can relate to that at some point in their life. Now, in my opinion, I think Harley Quinn was kind of like telling us what was gonna, or what's happening in the story a little bit too much. Like, it's kind of like a part of the style, which isn't like bothersome or anything like that, when she's trying to, like, you know, show off who the characters are and like give their introductions and the history that she has with them. So that part of what Harley's like telling us about is fine, but she starts like trying to like tell us about like the plot line, like we can't already see what's going on. So that was just like a little bit too much. And when you go watch it, you'll definitely see what I'm talking about. But I mean, it's not that bad to the point of it makes the movie like terrible or unwatchable. But I mean, it's just something that they didn't really need to do. Now, the acting of this movie was fairly good for a DC movie. I think in the tone that the movie had, I think the characters, they fit in. Obviously, there are some standout characters, which are Black Canary and Victor Zsasz. They did what needed to be done in that movie. Now, Margaret Robbie and the rest of the cast, so like Huntress and all of them, Black Mask and all of them, they did pretty decent and stuff like that. But Black Canary and Victor Zsasz were on another level. Everyone did pretty good in their acting except for Cassandra Cain. And in my spoiler review, I will go further into detail, but since this is a non-spoiler review, I don't know I don't think it's the actor. I think it's more of the script that she was given. But no, her character was just annoying to me. She was my least favorite character in this movie, which is interesting because I enjoyed her in Young Justice, but this movie, But the plot did revolve around Cassandra Cain, so she's the reason why all these characters were intertwined with each other, including like Harley Quinn. So I guess that's why they kind of name it the Birds of Prey, because she's like one of the central key points to the plot, her and Black Mass and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, she was very annoying, and not feeling her. Now I will go on to say that this movie is 10 times better than Suicide Squad. And you guys, I already feel the hate comments coming, but this movie was just as good, if not better, than Wonder Woman. What the fuck?
Do you see how that's incredibly offensive?
Yes, I do. That's why I said it.
Are you finished booing yet? Are you done? Because, I mean, I stand by what I said. This movie was just as good, if not better, than Wonder Woman. So if you enjoyed Wonder Woman, if you enjoyed Shazam, this I think the humor, Shazam was a little bit funnier, but I think the humor is definitely on the same level, because a lot of people in the theater, they were laughing. And let me give you a quick heads up on who was like all in the theater. Since it technically comes out Friday and I watched it on a Thursday, the audience was kind of like small, but I would say 60 to 40% or 60% it was men, and like in the age frame, they were like 20, like around 20 up to like 40ish and above. The women, maybe like 40% women, and they're like, you know, I'm pretty sure I was the youngest in there. I'm like 21, so like 21 to like maybe 38, because there was a lot of couples, and there are only like 40 people in the movie theater. So, you know, I don't know how it's gonna do, but you know, they're all laughing in front of me and back of me, and like some of these scenes weren't like, it was like low-key funny, but like not to the point where I would like bust out laughing. I think I only did that during like 4 scenes, which, I mean, I don't know, my humor is different from yours, so you may think it's the funniest movie in the world, like some of those people in the movie theater did. But I think that you'll enjoy this movie whether you're a man or a woman. And speaking of which, I didn't even know that this movie was rated R until I tried to go into my theater, and they're like, oh, do you have your ID? And I was like, huh? But that's besides the fact. Well, no, hold on. If this movie is rated R, like in their fight scenes, I don't understand like why there wasn't like that much blood. Like they picked and choose where they wanted to like use the blood, but when it comes to like all the fighting, the hand-to-hand combat that they were doing, like their faces still look priceless, or you know, top notch, not beaten up, or in some scenes, but it was just bruises. So if it's like, if this movie's rated R, then why can't we have a little more of that? But on to the next point, the soundtrack. The soundtrack to this movie was fire. The way it was used in their scenes was fire. The energy of the movie is definitely what Suicide Squad wished it could have achieved, but it did not. I mean, I like Suicide Squad, but it was cheesy. And you know what? I like ooh, you know what, I like Wonder Woman, but again, if we're being honest, it was kind of cheesy. But yeah, this story is actually pretty different. When it comes to the plot being like predictable, obviously, it's told from Harley Quinn's perspective for most of it, like I said earlier, and you know that it's called like the Birds of Prey, so you obviously know that they're gonna come together some way. But at the same time, it was still enjoyable and unpredictable, in my opinion. Now, the costumes to this movie.
Somebody lied to her several times and told her that she was fly, hot, and sexy and beautiful, and she's nothing like that. She's nothing of the sort.
I would give it a C- because they just had no style. And it's not even like, I guess there's this argument going around like, oh, people are mad because like Harley Quinn is all or these characters are like more covered up and like they don't look like sexy and stuff like that. But like, you could be covered up and still like have some fashion taste. So I feel like that could have been a little better. It didn't, like, as a girl, when I see like a character or like a movie or something like that, I think of, when it comes to costume, I think of, ooh, I could cosplay her. Like Cora, she has good style. Shigo, she has good style. Kim Possible, good style. They're covered up. Well, I mean, crop top, that doesn't matter. But you could be covered up and still be stylish, but they just weren't. So maybe that's just me. Maybe you guys love the costumes that they had. I mean, Harley Quinn's, they weren't bad. Like, her choices weren't that bad, but they weren't good. They weren't good at all. I think if I had to like cosplay as a character, like the most appealing one would be Black Canary, when she had like the little crop top and like the pantsuit. But that's about it. I mean, kind of like Huntress, but like she's just like dressed like a little like soldier. Like when they gave her jacket with like the infamous like lines and stuff like that, it was in. And speaking of which, her story, her intro, it had so much potential to be as good as, I don't know if you guys watched the Justice League Unlimited episode when Huntress's backstory was told, but no, it wasn't there. Like, it wasn't bad, let me say that, it wasn't bad, but when you've seen the Justice League Unlimited version of Huntress's backstory, that's good. That's something that, you know, just hits you in the heart. But yeah, it wasn't really doing that. Like, it just didn't make me feel any way about it. And Cassandra Cain, like, she didn't even, like, she was just in basic clothes, so it was just all over the place. Ooh, I almost forgot. Speaking of which, when it comes to like the stylist and stuff like that, Black Mask. What was it? I will tell you what it is. It looked like it was just some S&M mask that he had, because if you watch or when you watch the movie, you'll see his little tendencies that he has that makes it seem plausible that he may be into that type of stuff, and that mask just looks like one of those type of masks. So they could have done better on that, in my opinion. Speaking of which, him as a villain, how are you gonna get outshined by Zsasz? And that's a whole nother conversation. One, he was outshined by Victor Zsasz. He was way more threatening. And then two, like, I got a little homosexual vibe between the two of them. Instead of like Harley Quinn being the Joker's sidekick. Zaz was Daddy's little monster to Black Mass. I don't know if I'm the only one who gets that vibe, but it was pretty in there. Not to mention, I mean, the fight scenes, I enjoyed those. Black Canary had one. Black Canary. Ooh. Black Canary's fight scenes were top notch. I don't know if you'll notice this, but the fight scenes between the women versus the men versus the women versus the women versus the women are like completely like different. They have different vibes. It feels like they can beat the men up like easier, but they seem to struggle when it's like other women, which, I mean, it doesn't make sense. And speaking of it, all I got from these fight scenes, because like, is this a spoiler or not? I guess it's not a spoiler. It's in the commercial. So like, say for instance, when Harley Quinn was robbing the bank or whatever, and she had like her weapon and stuff like that. So anytime the women like fought the men, most of the times, not 8/10 out of 10, they had like some sort of weapon. But the hand-to-hand combat of it was giving me Bobby Hill vibes. Now, if you watch King of the Hill, I think you may know what episode I'm talking about, but they were giving out strong, "That's my purse" vibes. I don't know you vibes, because that's where they were taking down the men. But overall, I think that if you enjoy like Shazam, if you enjoyed Wonder Woman, then you would definitely enjoy this movie, no matter if you're a man, if you're a woman. It was pretty enjoyable overall. I'm gonna watch it again, so I mean, that says something. Of course, it's no Joker, but it doesn't claim to be. It's better than the Suicide Squad. Oh, and if you guys are wondering if the Joker is in there, he is in there, but they don't show his face. They don't show his voice, but they use like an old scene from Suicide Squad, and then like they like cut off some of his like face, so you don't like really fully see Jared Leto and stuff like that. He is like mentioned through the story, and that's it on the Joker. I think this movie, if I had to,
So my camera cut off, but what I was gonna say is, if I had to rate this movie, it would be
a B, probably like a B, maybe maybe like an 87% is what I would give this movie, because it was good, but like, you know, there could have been like improvements. Cough the stylist, the main villain, because like, I'm sorry, it's like how Azula outshined Firelord Ozai is how Zaz outshined Black Mass to me. So that's all. Keep a lookout for my spoiler review. I'm going to try to write my notes legible this time. And with that being said, embrace the geek and stay thriving.